Let's further discuss this now with Akbar Ahmed. He joins me live from Washington, D.C. He's a distinguished professor and former Pakistani ambassador. Ambassador, thank you for being with us on the program. So we're hearing
Thank
from
you.
security officials saying that these strikes were targeting the TTP. The Taliban says civilians were the target, with this attack taking place just hours after Pakistan's special representative for Afghanistan, Mohammed Sadi, met the interim Afghan foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi in Kabul. Give us your thoughts on this latest round of escalation. What is it going to lead to?
I think it's a tragic confrontation between two neighbors, both facing serious economic problems. Neither can afford this kind of escalation. And this area within which this drama is taking place, this tragic drama, because lives are being lost, women and children are involved, is a very difficult part of the world. It's got high mountains, deep valleys, unknown trails. And this is traditionally what was called the tribal areas in between Afghanistan and Pakistan. These are borderland areas. Now, the tragedy is that very often we analyze such conflicts through the eyes of the capital of the country. So we see what Islamabad is doing and wanting, and what Kabul is doing and their demands and their responses to the crisis. What we don't see or discuss too often is the people in the middle, the tribal groups, the rural people living in the villages. And you can see these terrible images of women and children suffering. Now, it doesn't matter whether they're Afghan or on the Pakistan side, people are suffering. And both countries have to pull back before this matter escalates further and more people get killed. The matter, of course, as we know, began with 16 soldiers of the Pakistan army being killed. And this has been happening. Pakistan blames the TTP. They say they come across from Afghanistan, they kill or they kidnap people, and then they go back to Afghanistan. Afghanistan says these are your people coming from your tribal areas, in fact, from the Waziristan area. And I happen to have been in charge of that area some years ago. So I know it's a very difficult area. And also remember that the Waziristan area is called Waziristan after the Wazir tribe. So on this side of the Pakistan border, they are the Wazir and Masood, also part of the Wazir. On that side, on the Afghan side, you also have the Wazir. So you can see how complicated this tribal situation is.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it's the innocent civilians that are often caught in between these attacks, these cross-border attacks. A spokesperson for the Defense Ministry in Afghanistan, they have said that this attack is not going to go unanswered. What will this retaliation look like?
Well, it could be airstrikes, which would be fatal because then Pakistan will counter-strike. Pakistan has not been slow in responding either to its neighbor on the western front border or the eastern. If you recall, a couple of years back, the Indians sent in some planes and Pakistan knocked them out of the sky. So Pakistan will respond, and that is what I'm worried about because both countries, there's no need for this kind of confrontation. There's so much in common. There's so much common history. There's so many common people. The Pashto language is spoken in both countries. The kinship relationships, cultural relationships. And I want to just mention that historically, this entire area was so many times in history part of each other. So there were times when Afghanistan and that whole belt was part of the Mughal Empire, the Muslims ruling from Delhi. And then in reverse, there were times when Ahmad Shah Abdali, the ruler of Afghanistan, in fact, controlled what is now Pakistan. So with so much in common, with so much cultural, political, historical memories that are common, it's tragic why these two people are confronting each other. And the war of words is not going up, it's still escalating.
Right, and I mean, it's been a long-standing crisis between the two countries. Is there a political solution to it, though? Will diplomacy work in bringing peace and security?
There always is, but if both sides are prepared to meet with an open heart, with some trust, and with some dignity for the other side. Very often these meetings are conducted in a spirit of, I'm right, you're wrong. And as we see from the Middle East, this doesn't get you very far. So there has to be some mechanism within which these societies, especially the ones living on the border of each other, and there are these border clashes and confrontations, that a mechanism that can deal with crises like this. Otherwise, you look at the map of the Middle East, and I say the greater Middle East, which includes Syria and Iraq and Israel, and you're seeing all along the borders you have wars and killings and people dying, and If this is the pattern, then unfortunately this will continue into the future. And again, I would hope and pray and appeal to the leaders on both sides to pull back and remember they're dealing with ordinary human beings who are already suffering with the cold and the misery there of the economic crisis. And on top of that, you have this killing.
Ambassador Ahmed, thank you so much for being with us here on TR2 World and sharing that insight with us.
Thank you.